Italian journalist and transfer expert Fabrizio Romano has just stated that Tottenham wanted left-back Dorgu in the summer, but talks did not advance because his club wanted between 30 and 35 million euros. The Spurs women have signed a couple of experienced players this week, a full international roundup, and a former Spurs star has come out and said that Tottenham have just done one of the strangest deals I've ever seen.
Chris Cowlin. Fan cams, club news, transfer news, match previews, legend interviews, Spurs women, press conferences, covering everything Tottenham and England.
Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all keeping well. This is another edition of Tottenham News, where I began for all of the latest Spurs news, rumours and reports. If you're watching this on YouTube, please do hit the subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you're listening to this on an audio platform, please do hit the follow button and leave a review if you can. So let's start with an international roundup. On Friday evening, Spurs left-back Daniel Levy stepped off the bench to set up Italy's third goal as they began their latest UEFA Nations League campaign with an impressive 3-1 win against France. The left-back was introduced shortly after the hour mark with the score at 2-1, providing the assist for his country's third goal with 16 minutes remaining. Goalkeeper Vicario was an unused sub. Elsewhere in the Nations League, Ben Davies and Brennan Johnson both played the full game for Wales as they began life under new head coach Craig Bellamy with a goalless draw at home to 10-man Turkey. Radu Dragushin also put in a full shift for Romania in their 3-0 victory in Kosovo, while on loan Manor Solomon captained Israel as they lost 3-1 to Belgium in Hungary. Two of our midfielders were involved in Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers on Friday. Yves Bissouma on target for Mali as they drew 1-1 at home to Mozambique, while Pape Matar Sarr started for Senegal as they produced the same scoreline at home to Burkina Faso. Pape Matar Sarr was withdrawn midway through the second half. Three players saw action in qualifying for the European Under-21 Championship. Archie Gray played the full game for England Under-21s as they were held to a goalless draw in Northern Ireland. Wilson Odobert came on for the France Under-21s in the last 20 minutes in their 1-1 home draw with Slovenia, while on-loan goalkeeper Josh Keeley kept a clean sheet to help Republic of Ireland Under-21s win 1-0 in Turkey. Another on-loan duo were in action in Istanbul as Ashley Phillips and Dane Scarlett started for England's Under-20 Elite League side in a 1-1 draw with Turkey. Defender Ashley Phillips played the full game. Dane Scarlett was replaced in added time, having also started, while goalkeeper Luca Gunter was an unused sub. On Wednesday, Leo Black scored a late equaliser for England Under-19s in their friendly clash with Italy in Croatia. The versatile midfielder, who along with Spurs teammate Mikey Moore was introduced as a second-half sub, struck with 4 minutes remaining to make it 2-2. A clean sheet for Christian Romero's Argentina helped them secure a 3-0 win against Chile in FIFA World Cup 2026 qualifying in the early hours of Friday morning. Christian Romero was in from the start to earn his 37th cap as the scoreless first half quickly sprang into life in the second period. On Thursday evening, Dejan Kulusevski's first outing as Sweden captain ended in a 3-1 away victory over Azerbaijan in the UEFA Nations League. On Thursday, Heung-min Son won his 128th cap for South Korea as they drew 0-0 against Palestine, captaining his country once more as they kicked off their third round of 2026 World Cup qualifiers in Seoul. The game was Sonny's 128th for Korea, meaning he is now ahead of former Spurs star Lee, who earned 127 caps during his career. Now for some Spurs women news. The club have announced that Kit Graham has suffered an ACL in her left knee. The midfielder sustained the injury during the club's pre-season programme and will undergo surgery. Kit Graham will then commence her rehabilitation with our medical staff and is expected to be sidelined for the remainder of this season. On Wednesday afternoon, our women's under-21s were beaten 3-0 by Charlton Athletic in the Professional Game Academy League. After quite an even start to the game at Hotspur Way, Charlton Athletic took a 2-goal advantage heading into half-time, with the 2 goals coming in an 8-minute spell in the first half. On Wednesday, Tottenham Hotspur Football Club released the following. We have reached an agreement for the permanent transfer of Celine Bizet to Manchester United. The Norway international joined us from PSG ahead of the 2022-2023 campaign, and in her first season at the club, she made 27 appearances in all competitions, scoring 2 goals. During her time in Lily-White, Celine made 56 appearances in all competitions and scored 6 times. It has also been announced that Alex Morgan has announced her retirement from professional football at the age of 35, one of the greatest goal scorers in the women's game, scoring 123 goals in 224 caps for USA. Alex joined us in September 2020 and spent the first half of the 2020-2021 Barclays Women's Super League campaign in our colours. Tottenham Hotspur women have announced a couple of new signings this week. First up, the signing of Hayley Raso, subject to international clearance and work permit. The 29-year-old forward, who has made more than 250 senior career appearances and scored over 50 goals, has agreed a deal that will run until 2026, and she will wear the number 8 shirt. The Spurs women have also announced the signing of Csiki, subject to international clearance and work permit. The 24-year-old Hungary international has signed a deal that will run until 2028. She will wear the number 14 shirt for the 2024-2025 Barclays Women's Super League campaign. Italian journalist and transfer expert Fabrizio Romano has just stated that understand Tottenham had Lecce fullback Patrick Dorgu on their shortlist this summer. Chelsea also considered signing the left back. Talks didn't advance as Lecce wanted more than 30 to 35 million euros. Former Tottenham Hotspur goalkeeper Paul Robinson has been talking to the Football Insider, and he has stated that the priority option to sign Johnny Cardoso from Real Betis is one of the strangest deals he has ever seen. Former Spurs and England goalkeeper Paul Robinson has come out and said, surely there's only Daniel Levy that can construct a deal like that, isn't there? It's one of the strangest deals that I've ever seen. It's an incredible deal for Tottenham to have actually first rights over a player. And if I'm led to believe right of what I've read, they get a sell-on clause if it's not them. How can you have a piece of a player that's never played for your club and have a sell-on clause? If that is not a Tottenham Hotspur contract, I don't know what is. It's a great option all round. He's a very, very good player. I think to have first refusal on a player is a really good deal for Tottenham. He is a first-class player. He would do well there, but there is a lot of ifs and buts that can happen in the next 6 to 12 months. The manager at Tottenham may have changed, the system may have changed, the players' form may have changed, but basically Daniel Levy's covered all bases so he can bring in a really, really good player if he keeps developing in the same way as he does, and the manager, whoever is in charge at that time, wants him. If not, and if they get outbid by a bigger and better club around Europe, say a European giant, a Real Madrid, a Barcelona, they do get a sell-on clause. I mean, has that ever been done in football before? I don't think it has. Now, my thoughts on everything in this episode and how I'm feeling as a Tottenham Hotspur fan right now, because I've recorded many podcasts this week with a lot of Spurs fans with very, very different opinions. I am very calm at the moment. We are only 3 games in. We are only in Ange Postecoglou's second season, at the very start of Ange Postecoglou's second season. Time, patience, tools are needed for Ange Postecoglou, in my opinion. I know everyone has a different opinion. There is a lot of criticism at the moment for Ange Postecoglou, a lot of criticism in the way that we have not finished chances in our opening 3 Premier League games. But I do have belief that in that final third, it will come good. Of course, Dominic Solanke will be back into the team, hopefully for the North London derby next Sunday. And I believe there is still so much more growth in that final third, as Ange Postecoglou has said on so many occasions. And when you look at the opening 3 games, we have created so many chances. Yes, it has been frustrating in those 2 away games at Leicester and Newcastle, because we should be sitting here with 3 wins out of 3. We should have scored a hatful of goals, but it isn't to be. We've got 4 points out of our opening 3 games, and we've got a huge game coming up against Arsenal next Sunday. But I am staying very, very calm. I do believe that Ange Postecoglou needs to be backed in every single window that he is at the football club. In the 3 that he's had so far, it has to be said that so much has been done on the pitch and off the pitch. So many changes in terms of personnel off the pitch as well. The amount of players that have gone out the door, the amount of players that Ange Postecoglou has offloaded, he has been extremely ruthless. Did we do enough in the transfer window? I don't believe we did. Should we have done more in the window? Absolutely. Should we have signed left-back cover for Udogie, as in Dorgu, for 30 to 35 million euros? Absolutely. But of course, the transfer window opens again in January. I do hope and fully expect, as I'm sure Ange Postecoglou does, that we go again and work is carried out in a very, very positive way. Ange Postecoglou and Johan Lang have both come out and said that work has already started. Discussions have already taken place about the January window, so we will have to wait until then. Of course, we want to be fighting on all fronts. FA Cup starts in January. So hopefully we can get some more players in to have a refresh again in January. But of course we will be fighting on the fronts in the Premier League, in the Carabao Cup. That starts very soon against Coventry, and of course in the Europa League. We want to be competing on all fronts, and that's why I think that we need more work in transfer windows. But do I feel that we've had progress since Ange Postecoglou has arrived? Absolutely. And it surprises me that some people don't see that. But of course, we all do have different opinions. And certainly on the Spurs Chat podcast, this last week or so, we have had a mixture of very, very different opinions. I feel like it's very important to get a mixture of very different opinions. I know that some people's opinions have really frustrated some of the viewers and some of the listeners. So much so that some people have actually told me that they've switched some podcasts off because they didn't want to listen to certain people's views. But of course, we all feel differently, but we all want the same thing. And I say this all the time. We all want success at our football club. We all want to see Spurs lifting trophies. It has been far too long. But I believe that if Ange Postecoglou is given the tools, given the time, most importantly, given the patience from the fans as well, you know, even if it is a poor game or a negative result against Arsenal next Sunday, I still believe Ange Postecoglou needs the time. You know, he's been here for just over a year. He's made so many changes at this football club already, a lot of them for the better. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day. Things don't get done in just a year. I think that a lot of people don't realise what a mess that Ange Postecoglou actually walked into. He has sorted so much out on the pitch, off the pitch, and the football club has improved. I feel like the feeling when people go into the stadium, either at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium or in away games, people do feel differently. The style of football that we play is completely different. The entertainment style is completely different. Yes, it is frustrating. As I said earlier, we should be sitting here with 9 points out of 9 out of the first 3 games. But give it time. You know, those players are doing exactly what Ange Postecoglou told them to do. And you could see how frustrated Ange Postecoglou was right at the end of the Leicester game. And you could see in the press conference, in the post-match press conference after the Newcastle game, how frustrated again he was. He was as frustrated as us fans by the players in that final third not finishing their chances. Extremely frustrating. But we are creating so many chances. It is now just putting those chances away. And I believe when Dominic Solanke is back, we will have more of a chance. But there are players that do need to step up. And I've said this many times. Brennan Johnson, Timo Werner, Kulusevski, they need to be shooting a lot more. They need to be getting into better areas. Kulusevski, for example, I think that he has played extremely well during pre-season, but he's only had 2 shots so far in our opening 3 games. Pedro Porro's had 8. Heung-min Son's had 5. Brennan Johnson had 5. But you've got to be taking your chances. In the Premier League, you cannot be missing, you know, such fantastic chances that we do create. You know, we put a number of crosses into the box in that Newcastle game. No one was there. I believe that Dominic Solanke will be that guy to be in and around, sniffing around that 6-yard box and tapping home those chances. But I know a lot of people have said that they're frustrated about players in that final third because we should be doing a lot better. I completely agree. We should be, but I do believe that it will come good. James Maddison and co as well. I believe that they've looked a lot better, looked a lot sharper, looked a lot fitter since the start of this season. So hopefully that will continue as well. Hopefully we'll have Mickey van der Ven back for the Arsenal game. I believe that he was a big miss. You know, when you take a player out of the team like that, of course he's going to be a big miss. But I am looking forward to the Arsenal game next Sunday, and I hope that Spurs give absolutely everything in that game. Show hunger, show passion, show desire, and you know, the fans need to play a big part next Sunday at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium again. You know, make that place absolutely rocking, and you know, make it like it was that evening when Antonio Conte managed us and we beat Arsenal 3-0. That was an absolutely splendid night in terms of the result, the way that we played. The atmosphere was incredible. That's what we need again. International roundup so far. I'm so glad that we haven't heard about any injuries. Let's hope that that does continue throughout the start of this week, and all of the players come back the latter part of next week, and then of course prepare for this very important Arsenal game. The Spurs women are making waves. I have high hopes for the Spurs women next year. Them very similar to the men's team under Postecoglou. Robert Villeham did a fantastic job in his opening year. I've spoken to Robert Villeham a number of times, of course, cover the Spurs women in the press box last year throughout the season, and Robert Villeham, such a great guy, such a great manager, has taken the Spurs women to another level, and it looks like he wants to take them to another level again, above and beyond last year. And he said to me a couple of times that always in the plan in the second year was getting the Spurs women into the Champions League, of course, the top three. Spurs were a little bit away from that last season, but they are signing some great players, some very experienced players, and I have high hopes again for the Spurs women this coming season. Of course, the season hasn't started for them yet. They've got a couple more friendlies, and then the WSL season will be in full flow. So looking forward to that. Former Spurs star Paul Robinson has come out and said Tottenham have just completed one of the strangest deals I've ever seen. Completely agree. Completely agree with everything that Paul Robinson said. Of course, you know, the manager could be different by the time, if we signed Cardoso. His form could be very different, but what a clever deal. What a clever deal. Very strange one, but what a clever deal, because, you know, to have a sell-on clause for a player that has never even put on a Spurs shirt, if that is the case, you know, literally covered every single angle on this deal. A very clever deal. But I know what a lot of people will be saying. You know, they're interested in what we're doing, what we are doing in transfer windows in terms of players coming in for us, because, you know, as I said, I don't think we've done enough in the transfer window. I believe that we should have signed a couple more players, particularly when we're playing in the Europa League. But it is now just getting to January, and then, you know, perhaps buying 2 or 3 players in the January transfer window of real quality, experience, and most importantly, players that are going to play in the Ange Postecoglou system and play his way and ultimately take the club forward. But I'm staying positive at the moment, because I believe that there is still a lot to do. Ange Postecoglou has done a lot of work in his opening 12 months. There is still a lot of work to do, but have the time and patience, because honestly, what is the alternative? Bring someone else in and let's start again. Come on. We've had so many managers since Pochettino left in November 2019. You know, let's enjoy supporting this club. Let's enjoy the good moments. Yes, there are going to be a number of difficult moments under Postecoglou. I've no doubt of that. But the journey should be a lot of fun. Could be a lot of fun. And hopefully by the end of it, and when Postecoglou is happy with his entire squad, not just the starting 11, but the entire squad, because the sub bench does look a bit thin at the moment, and that is where we need to improve, you know, in the next couple of transfer windows. So I'm trying to enjoy it. I know there is a lot of negativity out there right now, but we are only 3 games into this Premier League season. We're only, 12, 14 months into the project of Ange Postecoglou. Surely he needs a lot more time than that to get, you know, success and, you know, to make this team and this squad super competitive in all competitions that we're going to be in. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you're listening to this on an audio platform, please do that follow button and leave a review if you can. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a good one. Come on, you Spurs.